Welcome to the Brand and Market Podcast, where branding clarity meets marketing strategy. I'm your host, Allie Haney, founder of Brand and Market, a boutique agency dedicated to helping small businesses craft intentional brands and effective marketing plans. Each week, I share practical tips and insights to help you, especially those of you in real estate-related industries, build a standout brand to attract your brand's biggest fans. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Brand and Market Podcast. I'm your host, Allie Haney, and today I have with me an awesome guest named Eden. She is the owner and founder of Maven Made Copy. She specializes in SEO and blog writing, so I'm excited to kind of pick her brain today all about how to optimize your blogs and your website to be able to be searchable in results, because why would we put in all that work just to be not able to be found online? A little bit of background about how I met Eden. We met at the Fusion Collective Summit. We were both a part of Brittany Schroeder's online educational event. And when Brittany had a little mixer for the speakers beforehand, I put in a plug. I was like, hey, if anybody feels like they are a good fit for the podcast for short-term rental owners and realtors, would absolutely love to have you on. And Eden raised her hand, and I'm so excited that we were able to connect. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Eden so that she can tell us a little bit more about Maven Made Copy and how she became a business owner.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It was so fun to meet you and all the other speakers at Fusion Collective Little Mixer. So a little bit about me. I have a background in marketing, and I started my business in the middle of COVID. I kind of started as just like a general virtual assistant, offering a ton of different marketing services because I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet. And just last year, I rebranded and relaunched my entire business with a new name, a new website, new services, all the things to just offer blog writing and SEO. So that's where I am today.
That's awesome. And I know that we talked about this a little bit offline. I know that we have a mutual connection, which is the Duo Collective. So Abby and Courtney are the founders of the Duo Collective, and our paths crossed through them as well, which was really cool. And it makes you realize that even though the online world is so spread out, it's still pretty tight knit here in the marketing community. Our spheres of influence touch each other. So that's really cool too. So let's start with the basics. A lot of times, short-term rental owners specifically, they get into short-term rentals because they want to get into real estate investing. They want to make some sort of generational wealth for their kids or their family. They don't come in thinking, okay, I need a full-on business plan with a marketing plan, and probably don't know exactly even what SEO is. So let's start with the basics. And I just want a clear explanation of what SEO is, as if no one's ever heard it before.
Yeah, SEO is kind of like a jargony term. It's I don't even know what that stands for. So it stands for search engine optimization. So it's basically helping search engines understand your content so that it can put it in the right search results. So it's how your content is shown in search results and in what order. So if you type something into Google and you're like, how did they get to the very first spot in this search result? They have pretty strong SEO probably. And if you've never done anything with SEO, you're probably on page, 100 of Google. So it's helping search engines decide this page on this website is relevant to this search result, and I'm going to put it in this order. That's kind of a short explanation of what SEO is, and why you should care about it is the higher that your content and the pages on your website are showing in search results, the more traffic that you get to your website. And of course, we know that the more traffic you get, the more potential you have for new people inquiring about your services.
Yeah, because let's be honest, we do not scroll past page one, maybe two of Google. And I will say, Google just rolled out this new, maybe it's not just, I don't know how recent it is, but where there are no longer pages, it's you just continue to scroll and the results pop up. So I do feel that's helpful, at least, that you don't have to actively click page two. But regardless, you still want to be as high up as possible, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was something that they were testing a few months ago. And I don't know about yours, but for mine, they went back to the pages, which I don't like. I liked the nonstop scroll.
I still have the nonstop scroll, so I guess I was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, you are lucky.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the keywords that you mentioned. So that's obviously what we're trying to like figure out what our ideal client is searching for so that we can show up what they're actually searching for. I feel like that part, like I understand, SEO and you want to be as high as possible, but that like kind of buyer or consumer psychology piece of it, where I'm trying to figure out what the person that's searching for me is searching for, is a little bit more challenging. So can you walk us through how you do keyword research and how we know what we're supposed to be ranking for in order to get in front of the audience that we want to be in front of?
Yeah, for sure. I personally like to use Ubersuggest as my keyword research tool, but there's a lot of other tools out there that can help you research keywords like SEMrush or Google Keyword Planner, Ahrefs. So there's a lot of different things that you can use to research keywords. I'm just going to talk through what I do on Ubersuggest. So basically, you type in terms that you think people will use to find your website. And so that might be real estate agent in Colorado or something like that. Once you type that in, Ubersuggest will give you the data for that term, but also show you other options related to that. So it might be licensed real estate agent in Denver or commercial real estate agent in Denver or something like that. And you might not have thought to phrase your website that way or that keyword that way, but it could have a better potential to rank in search results. So that's why I like to do the research, because just because I might say it some way doesn't mean that my audience might phrase it that way. And you're trying to find keywords that have high volume but low competition. So that means a lot of people are searching for that term, but not a lot of companies are trying to rank for it. There's a lot of potential for that keyword, basically, to rank for it. You'll also want to consider the intent behind the keyword. So another example, if they type beach house, are they looking for a short-term rental, to buy a beach house, how to build a beach house, design ideas for a beach house? Like that keyword is a little bit too broad because you just don't really know what they're searching for. So your keywords should be a little bit more specific than that, so misunderstandings don't happen like that. And they'll like click on your website and just like leave because you didn't give them what they were actually meaning to search for.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about that, like that could have happened. How discouraging that would be if you like ranked for beach house, but you were not what they were looking
Yeah,
for.
it's really annoying.
So like beach house rental would be like perhaps a phrase with like maybe accompanied with the area that they're in.
Yeah, location specific keywords are great if you're like trying to rank for keywords like that. So if you were like the beach house example, you could do like 5-bedroom beach house in Laguna Beach, California. Like you know exactly what they're looking for if they're typing that into Google versus beach house.
Okay, so I might be jumping ahead of myself a little bit here, but when we are going through and like creating content around that, how do we, you're saying just incorporate that into like a blog post?
Yeah, you could do like top 10 Laguna Beach house rentals, short-term rentals or something like that. So you can do like a listicle type of post where you could feature, like if you're a real estate agent, you could feature your listings in a certain area or a certain type of listing that you are selling, something like that, where it's just like a little bit more aligned to what they are actually wanting to learn from their search.
Okay, that makes sense. And I have a couple of questions about Uber Suggest because I've actually not ever used it before. We'll link it in the show notes as well, just so that you guys can have direct access to it. But is that a paid service or is there a free version that business owners could use?
I use the paid service. I think there is a free version, but you only get like a certain number of searches a day. So if you're doing it like, if you only need a couple searches a day, then the free version works great. But I use the paid version because obviously I'm writing a lot of blogs for a lot of different clients. The great thing about Ubersuggest is that you can do a lifetime fee. So I think it's last time I checked, it was like, I think 350 maybe 400 for, and that's the only fee you pay ever. You have lifetime access to it. So it's not like a monthly recurring fee like all of the other tools that we use. So I like that you just pay one time and you have like you have unlimited searches basically.
Very good. Okay. And about the keyword research, when you say you want high volume, low competition, are there numbers associated with that? What indicates that it's high volume and what indicates that it's low competition?
Yeah, in Ubersuggest, it'll actually highlight the number with green, yellow, or red to indicate low, medium, high. So that's an easy way to tell. And the numbers around there are, I don't know them exactly, but it's just good to see like as much volume as you can with as less competition as you can. And I usually don't go above a competition ranking of like 50 or 60 out of 100. I just think like for small businesses that anything above that is just really hard to rank for with companies like, Apple or Tesla, like trying to rank for those keywords too. So it's just better to try to compete for those lower competition keywords and then try to get as high a volume as you can with as low competition.
Okay. Do you work with any like geographically specific businesses, or are you mostly online service providers?
I'm mostly online service providers. I have worked with a brick and mortar retail company before. So we did do some local SEO for them because they were trying to get people in their door, but mostly online service providers.
With the background that you have with that brick and mortar, like what was the main takeaways of having like a geographically specific business? Because of course with like short-term rentals, the house isn't going to move. So
Yeah, you definitely want to rank for those local keywords. Obviously, like they did have an online store too, so they could market to anyone and ship their products out, but their main goal was to get people in the door so that it was worth it to have that physical location. So they were in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, so they were trying to rank for, and they were an e-bike store. So they were trying to rank for electric bikes in Colorado, electric bikes for sale in Denver, Littleton, electric bikes, like stuff like that, where it's just like you can tag a location onto the end of a keyword pretty easily. It was just e-bikes for sale versus e-bikes for sale in Denver. Like, it's just like easy to put that location specific term onto the end of a keyword if you're trying to rank for those local terms.
okay, that makes sense. Okay, so let's like transition into actually creating the content that's going to make us appear on those Google search results. So I sit down to write a blog or website copy for my website. How do I incorporate, like, let's say I have a list of 5 keywords. How do I incorporate those into my copy?
So you're actually just going to pick one that you're trying to rank for.
Oh,
So this will be,
just
yeah.
one across your whole website or just like per blog post?
So per blog post, yeah. So you're just going to try to pick one. And naturally, in your copy, you're probably going to use other keywords that you could rank for, but your goal is to rank for this one. And that's going to be included in your blog title, in your SEO title, in your meta description, and throughout the headings and body text in your blog. And that's like the main keyword that you're trying to rank for and that you've optimized your page for. And then, like I said, you're probably going to rank for other keywords because you just naturally use them in your content, but that you should only be trying to optimize for one.
That makes sense. Okay, so I have this one keyword or keyword phrase, I guess, that I am trying to rank for. I put it in my blog title. I put it in my SEO title, which is different than my blog title. And then I incorporate them in headings and body as well. Can I ever use a keyword too much?
Yes, you can.
That's like I'm a little bit scared of like crossing that line because I've heard the term keyword stuffing, and like walk us through what that is, how to avoid it.
Yeah, keyword stuffing is like people were trying to do a little shortcut to get ranked on Google, and Google was like, no, you're not doing that. And what they were doing is they were putting the keyword in the blog post as many times as they possibly could, where it just sounded like this doesn't even make sense because why are you using this keyword that many times? Or they were actually putting at the end of their blog post, they were just like typing it over and over and over again and then making the text white. So like the user couldn't see it, but search engines could. And search engines were like, that's sketchy and we don't like that and we're going to penalize you for that. So don't do that.
That is absolutely wild. People are
Yeah, I
so
know. I'm like, shortcuts never work, especially with SEO. So it's better to do it right and follow their rules. But to avoid all that and to not be flagged as keyword stuffing, just use the keyword naturally throughout your body copy. Like if you are like, I'm going to go back to the beach rental example because it's almost summer and I want to be in a beach rental. So if you're saying, you could phrase it as like, beach rentals in Laguna Beach are super fun, whatever. Your keywords beach rentals. Then if you are typing your blog and you end up saying like rentals in Laguna Beach, like that's easy to rephrase to beach rentals in Laguna. Like you can rephrase what you naturally type to include your keyword, and you're just kind of including it naturally throughout your blog where it's not like overly used, but it's used enough where it's pretty clear that that's what you're talking about and what you're going for.
Does it have to be an exact match? Like beach rentals in Laguna will not rank for beach rental Laguna Beach.
See, that's where you're optimizing for one, but you could rank for both. So it doesn't have to be the exact match, but I would use the exact match as much as you naturally can. Again, like going back to like if it doesn't make sense to use it that way, then don't use it that way. But if it does, then use it that way.
Are you feeling stuck when it comes to your branding or marketing strategy? Do you have a million ideas but no clear direction on where to start? Then it sounds like a Power Hour session would be perfect for you. This is a focused one-on-one video call designed to tackle your biggest branding or marketing challenges. Here's how it works. You schedule a call, share some of your business details and any burning questions you have ahead of time. Then during our session, we dive straight into solutions. No fluff, no generic advice, just tailored strategies that work for you and your business. Whether you're a realtor looking to stand out in a crowded market, a short-term rental owner creating a repeat guest experience, or a builder needing clarity on your messaging, the Power Hour is designed to help you walk away with actionable steps to grow your brand. Are you ready to take the guesswork out of your branding and marketing? Let's tackle it together. Visit the link in the show notes to book your Power Hour session today, and let's turn your ideas into intentional action. Okay, so let's say that a realtor or short-term rental owner has existing blog posts, but they're not really doing much in terms of being able to help them climb up the search results. Is it possible to take old content and re-optimize it with keywords in mind?
Yes, for sure. So Google actually loves to see old content being refreshed and made new. So that blog post that you posted back in 2021 has some authority with Google because it's been on the internet for 4 years. And then if you update it to say, like, all the 2021 information is gone, but I've updated it and now it's 2025. It still has that authority from 2021, but now it's refreshed and relevant to this year. So if you have old blog posts that are just completely outdated or like the information just isn't relevant anymore, go back and update those and make them relevant for now. And Google will love that.
Oh my gosh, you'll be a Google golden child.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so let me add that to my to-do list.
Yeah. Same. I'm constantly updating my blog posts.
That's awesome. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, next question is, so let's say we have those main keywords. I know we're only trying to rank for one keyword per page per blog post. However, what about those like kind of ancillary keywords? Like if we're, let's say, a short-term rental owner in Laguna Beach, maybe they're not searching specifically for a beach rental, but they're searching to plan their Laguna Beach trip. And we're kind of getting in the minds of our ideal guest avatar, but they're searching, like Laguna Beach vacation. Would you recommend like having sort of outside of the box content that could potentially like help them plan their trip, help them find the top 5 Thai restaurants, like those types of things? Is that helpful at all?
I think it is, yes. I mean, you never know what people are going to search for and end up finding you with. Like, I have a blog post that I wrote a couple years ago that was like, best places to find new clients. It's like, that's not really related to my services. I don't help people find clients. But in that blog post, I included SEO, which I do SEO. So it ties kind of to my services, but like when people are landing on that page, they're not expecting to find a blog writer and SEO like specialist. So those like blog posts that are related but not like directly could get you some new people where they're like, oh, I didn't even think like I might need or that a short-term rental was an option. I was just going to go for a hotel. Then they could explore what listings you have and the possibility of doing a short-term rental, the benefits of a short-term rental. So I think like writing about those posts And again, location specific, where you have listings in Laguna Beach and you're writing about things to do in Laguna Beach that are, 10 minutes away from your short-term rental. Like, you can tie it in creative ways where people who are landing on your website might not expect to learn about short-term rentals, but here they are.
Very good. Very good. Okay. I feel like we have dove way deep into content creation. So I'm going to pull it back for a second and talk about just general website copy. So what are some things that we can do to make our websites SEO friendly?
The biggest thing is to make your website mobile friendly. So Google actually indexes and ranks the mobile version of your website first, and then it looks at the desktop version, which is hard to wrap our heads around for us because we're designing and writing our website probably on desktop. Sometimes we forget to look at the mobile version when people are searching on mobile more now than ever. And Google knows that. So that's why they're ranking the mobile version of your website first and then looking at desktop. Since a lot of searches are performed on mobile, you need to make sure that the mobile version of your website is optimized for mobile devices, which means that websites with like super tiny text and buttons that are on your phone, you can't click with your thumb, or unclear navigation, you don't even know what to click next, or weirdly sized images are a turnoff for search engines and for people. So make sure that you preview your website on the mobile version to see like the user experience for searching in, Google, quick search in Google, and they find your website, that it like makes sense to show on a mobile device.
Yeah. And as a designer, I will say that mobile, I get stuck with last. And it's always the blog pages, which is what's like, really creating those accurate and helpful search results. And it's like, God, I, did the homepage of the mobile, optimize the homepage of the blog, but the individual pages of the blog or the search category page of the blog. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's like way more pages on your website than just home and contact. Like, you have to look at like everything.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Outside of the mobile version, what are are there any other major common SEO mistakes that you see on websites and or blogs?
So one of the common mistakes that I see too is that blogs are too short. So people will post like a listing as a blog and just have like one paragraph, when a blog really should be like a full topic about something. So Google doesn't really care about like word count specifically, but it does want you to thoroughly explain a topic. So if that takes 500 words or 2,000 words, like they just want you to explain the topic and provide a lot of value for whoever is reading it. And those super short posts usually aren't enough. So I would say, like, again, going back to updating your blogs, your old blogs, if you have content that's really short, go back through and see where you can add more relevant and valuable content.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I know that you mentioned Google does not have a minimum word count, but being someone that's in it every single day, do you have a minimum word count that you're like, if you're posting a blog, you're really going to have to use this amount of words to actually thoroughly explain it?
It depends on the topic, because if you're picking like a super niche topic, then maybe you can only write 700 or 800 words about it. And I've posted blogs that are 650 words because I don't have anything else to add. For the most part, my blogs are between 1,000 and 1,200 words, and I kind of try to shoot for 1,000 because I feel like that, for the most part, thoroughly explains the topic. And you can always find more ways to add more content. Like, I've been adding an FAQ section at the bottom of my blogs that's just like, I don't really need to explain this question more than just a couple sentences. So I'll just add an FAQ, and that's another, couple hundred words. So you can get creative in how you can add more content to your blogs, but that's a big thing.
Yeah, actually, as I was working with Abby at Duo Collective with my SEO for my own business's website, she was like, the main page that like never gets any love is the contact page. And she heavily encouraged an FAQ section on the contact page so that I had at least like, I think it was 500 words on that page, if I'm remembering correctly, but that was like over a year ago now. And she was like, that will drastically help that page. And I was like, wow, didn't even think of it. Was just like, let me hit the highlights. This is where you contact me. This is the form, and these are the next steps. That was it. And it was like 150 words on that page.
Yeah, I will say from an SEO perspective, you should have at least 300 words. But from a blog perspective, it should be a little bit longer.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, so we've gotten the keyword research done. We know what we want to rank for. We know how to incorporate it into the blogs. We've written the blog posts. All right, so we're at the, starting line, but SEO is not a quick fix, right? So what's the timeline that we should expect to start seeing increased traffic on our website once we've optimized everything that we can optimize?
Yeah, like you said, SEO is a long game, but it does compound and grow over time. So I would say that you'll start to see results between 3 and 6 months after implementing an SEO strategy, but the real momentum will come between 6 and 12 months. So don't let that scare you away from trying. I personally think that that's a much better strategy than constantly hustling on social media. I personally hate doing that. So I would much rather post a weekly blog than be on social for an hour a day. SEO strategy, I think, is it's long term for sure, but it will benefit your business more in the long run.
Yeah, that is encouraging because I have like a unique situation in that I started my business as a wedding photographer. And for a very long time, I kept the same URL. It was just my name, allierehaney.com. And so I was like ranking for like weddings in DC when I was like not doing that anymore. And it was like, I appreciate the fact that Google still loves that I have this like domain authority, but like I need to go back and update these.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I decided to change my domain. And of course, changing my domain means I started from zero. They were like, Google's like, I don't know who you are. So I had to hustle with my SEO strategy to get that momentum going from starting with nothing.
Absolutely. And I just love that SEO is like one of those things that although you're, consistently creating content, like you said, maybe that weekly blog post, it's still running in the background the whole time. It's not passive, but it's not active either. It's something that can work for you while you're asleep, right? So that's why I've loved getting to learn a little bit more about SEO. So with that being said, would you ever encourage anyone to try and DIY their SEO or their blog writing? And if so, like what are some of the main pieces of advice you would give a DIYer?
I am a fan of DIY. I think as business owners, that's kind of just in our nature is to try to do things ourselves and then maybe realize later, like, I don't like this or I'm not good at this. So if you want to start DIY, more power to you. I'm a fan of that. I would say start with kind of just playing around with keyword research because that's going to be the thing that's going to optimize your posts and your web pages and get them ranked on search engines. That's probably like the foundation is learning keyword research. So play around with some SEO tools, see what keywords you find, learn how to find those high volume, low competition keywords and see what works. I mean, we've been saying SEO is long term, which means that it takes some time to see results and if it's working or not. And over time, in a couple months, you can see if you picked a good keyword or if you maybe need to revise it. Like I said, don't be afraid that it takes a long time because once you have a good formula and good combination of keywords and content, you're going to start to see a lot of good results.
Very good. So keyword research is absolutely number one where you got to start. My final question, I ask this to all of my guests as we sign off. If you have one piece of advice, and this doesn't have to be SEO specific, although it can be, one piece of advice for our listeners to be the best in their brand and their market, what would it be?
It's a little cliche, but deliver a great user experience on your website. First of all, search engines love it because they're not going to want to show websites where people click and go right back to search results. They want people to click and find what they need. So when you provide a good experience and you give them what they need, search engines are going to love you for that. And then your audience loves it too because you are now their go-to expert in whatever they're searching for. So in action, that looks like having very clear navigation, showing them exactly where to click to find what they need, giving them very valuable and thorough content in your blogs, solving their problems, answering their questions, giving them the answers that they need to whatever they need, and then a fast loading website. So that goes back to SEO as well. Your website needs to load in under 2 seconds. Otherwise, they're just going to bounce right back to search results and find a website that will load faster.
Like I always try to describe your website as like an online storefront to people, and you need it to be as easy to get in the front door as possible and as easy as possible for people to say yes at any point. Like all the call to action buttons, those need to be sprinkled in there like confetti. So that's great. That's great. Definitely take this as an opportunity to go back and look at your website, see if anything can be optimized and made easier for somebody, a potential client or guest, to say yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Eden. I would love for our listeners to be able to connect with you offline or further online. So can you tell us where to find you?
Yes, so you can find me at mavenmadecopy.com, Maven Made Copy on Instagram. And then I do have a freebie for a blog content calendar template that you can use and help you just keep track of all your ideas, all your keyword research, and help you track the status of your blogs to make sure they get from research to written to published.
That's incredible. I'm going to go download that real quick. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Eden. We will link all of that contact info as well as that blog freebie in the show notes. And thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. You just completed another episode of the Brand Market Podcast. If you found this helpful, please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find this show and so that you never miss an episode. Don't forget to take a look at the show notes for all the resources mentioned today. See you next Wednesday, and as always, I'm here cheering you on as you build your dream brand and business.